The ground trembled beneath the feet of the villagers in the small, isolated town of Yer. Nestled in a valley surrounded by dense forests, Yer had always been a peaceful place, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. But that peace was shattered when the earth began to shake. It started with small tremors, barely noticeable, like the faint whisper of a ghost. The villagers shrugged them off, attributing the disturbances to natural causes. But as the days passed, the tremors grew stronger, more violent. Cracks appeared in the walls of houses, and the once solid ground felt unstable, like it could give way at any moment. Elders of the village spoke of an ancient legend, a tale passed down through generations. They called it the Yer Shaker, a malevolent spirit that roamed beneath the earth, angry and restless. According to the legend, the spirit had been imprisoned deep within the earth centuries ago by a powerful shaman. It was said that if the spirit ever awoke, it would bring ruin to the world above. One night, a particularly violent quake rocked the village, shaking everyone from their sleep. Fear gripped the hearts of the villagers as they gathered in the town square, their faces pale in the moonlight. Among them was Elif, a young woman with a fierce determination. She had always been skeptical of the old legends, but now, as the ground continued to tremble, she couldn't ignore the growing sense of dread. Elif decided to seek out the truth. She approached the village's oldest elder, a wise woman named Ilif, who had lived through more seasons than anyone could remember. Ilif's eyes, clouded with age, held a glint of ancient knowledge. "The Yer Shaker," Ilif whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of her words. "It is real, Elif, and it is angry. The only way to calm it is to find the shaman's staff, buried deep in the forest. It is said that the staff holds the power to put the spirit back to sleep." Determined to save her village, Elif set out into the dark forest, guided only by the light of the moon and the whispers of the trees. The forest was thick with shadows, and the air was heavy with an eerie silence. As she ventured deeper, the ground beneath her feet seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. After hours of searching, Elif stumbled upon an ancient stone altar, covered in moss and vines. In the center of the altar lay the shaman's staff, glowing with a faint, otherworldly light. Just as she reached out to grab it, the ground erupted in a violent quake, and the spirit of the Yer Shaker emerged from the earth, a monstrous figure of darkness and rage. With the staff in hand, Elif faced the spirit, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel its anger, its pain, and she knew she had to act quickly. Summoning all her courage, she thrust the staff into the ground, chanting the ancient incantation Ilif had taught her. The spirit let out a deafening roar as the ground beneath it began to glow, the light spreading and enveloping the dark figure. The quakes grew more intense, shaking the very foundation of the forest. But then, slowly, the tremors began to subside, and the spirit was pulled back into the earth, the ground sealing itself once more. Exhausted but triumphant, Elif returned to the village with the shaman's staff. The villagers, who had been waiting in fearful anticipation, greeted her with tears of relief and gratitude. The ground no longer trembled, and the air was filled with a renewed sense of peace. But deep beneath the earth, the Yer Shaker remained, its rage temporarily quelled, and the villagers of Yer knew that as long as the staff remained in their care, they would be safe from the spirit's wrath. For now, the earth was still, but the legend of the Yer Shaker would never be forgotten. Years passed, and the village of Yer slowly returned to its peaceful routine. The villagers carried on with their lives, but the memory of the Yer Shaker remained etched in their minds. They revered Elif as a hero and kept the shaman's staff in a sacred place within the village temple, guarded day and night. Elif, now older and wiser, continued to live in the village. She married and had children, passing down the story of the Yer Shaker to them, emphasizing the importance of vigilance and respect for the ancient powers that slept beneath the earth. One stormy night, Elif's eldest son, Kadir, was on guard duty at the temple. The rain poured down in torrents, and the wind howled through the village, shaking the doors and windows of the houses. Kadir, standing watch with a lantern in hand, couldn't shake a feeling of unease. He had grown up hearing his mother's stories, and although he had never doubted them, he had never experienced anything to truly believe in the legend. As the storm raged on, a sudden, powerful tremor shook the temple. Kadir's heart skipped a beat. He gripped the lantern tighter and rushed inside to check on the staff. To his horror, he found the sacred chamber in disarray. The staff, usually glowing faintly with a protective aura, now lay on the floor, its light flickering weakly. Panic surged through him. He quickly set the staff upright and chanted the incantation his mother had taught him, hoping to restore its power. The ground continued to tremble, and he could feel the same malevolent energy his mother had described all those years ago. Meanwhile, Elif, awakened by the tremors, sensed that something was terribly wrong. She gathered the villagers and led them to the temple. The fear in their eyes mirrored her own, but she knew they had to act quickly. Inside the temple, Kadir continued to chant, but the staff's glow only dimmed further. The ground beneath them split open, and the spirit of the Yer Shaker emerged once more, its rage even more palpable than before. Elif rushed to her son's side, adding her voice to the incantation. The spirit roared, its dark form towering over them, ready to unleash its fury. The villagers, witnessing the terror unfold, realized they had to help. Each of them began to chant the incantation, their voices merging into a powerful chorus. The staff, now held by Elif and Kadir, started to glow brighter as their collective will and determination poured into it. The spirit seemed to falter, its rage meeting an unyielding wall of human spirit and unity. The ground quaked violently, but the light from the staff grew even stronger, enveloping the dark figure once more. With a final, ear-splitting roar, the Yer Shaker was drawn back into the earth, the ground sealing itself over the fissure. Exhausted but resolute, the villagers continued their chant until the tremors ceased entirely. The staff, now glowing steadily, was placed back on its pedestal. Elif, breathing heavily, looked at her son and the villagers, pride and relief evident in her eyes. The village had faced the Yer Shaker once more and had emerged victorious. They knew that the spirit's anger might never fully subside, but they had learned the power of unity and vigilance. The legend of the Yer Shaker would continue to be told, and the villagers of Yer would remain ever watchful, ready to protect their home from the ancient threat beneath their feet. And so, the village of Yer continued to thrive, bound together by the trials they had faced and the stories they would tell for generations to come.